It's back-to-back Monday night football for West Ham, this time against Bournemouth at the Vitality Stadium. A very good Bournemouth side, let's be honest, doing very well this season. Of course, last time out was against Wolves. Got a 2-1 win there against them at London Stadium, which was, wasn't the most convincing, let's be honest. And of course, Wolves have just done the same again, lost 2-1 at home to Ipswich. I mean, my word, that club is absolute shambles at the moment. The scenes after the game was pretty shocking. But this time West Ham are going to be facing Bournemouth. And I don't know about you. The way things are going this season, I do struggle to go into these games with much belief at the moment, which I really don't like. Most of the time, even whoever we're playing, there's always a part of me that has quite a fair amount of belief that we're going to go and do something. I think if we can play well, we'll get a result. I'm struggling with that this season. I really am. A lot of the games, I'm kind of hoping that they're going to have an off day. And then we can maybe nick a result. And it's very deflating to be feeling that way. But unfortunately, that is the case. And certainly the case going against Bournemouth. I admire them so much. I really do. I've got a real soft spot for Bournemouth. People that know me on this channel, I know my missus is from Bournemouth, family down there. So I'm very... I've got a big connection with the place, to be honest, with Bournemouth. So it's great to see them doing well. And they are doing very well. And it's going to be a very, very tough game for West Ham. And I think if Bournemouth are at it, then they'll be rubbing their hands together, I think, thinking they've got a West Ham side that are in complete disarray at the moment. So it's going to be a real tough one. Before I go into the video, though, I wanted to say, if you're new to the channel, do subscribe. It's free to do so. It takes 2 seconds. And we are growing and we want to keep people jumping on board. And we really do appreciate it. And, of course, hit that like button as well. So we really do appreciate that also. So let's talk about Bournemouth. It's strange to be saying this, and this is going to sound like I'm having a dig here at Bournemouth. And as I say, I've got a real soft spot for them, so I'm certainly not doing that. I actually just envy them. I feel envious of the way that they run, the recruitment, everything about that club at the moment. Sort of just putting West Ham to shame, really. I feel like just embarrassing us. If I was in a conversation now with David Sullivan, I'd say to him, "What do you think of Bournemouth? Does that embarrass you? The fact that club with their finances are outdoing you in every single department of running a football club? Because that is basically what they are doing." I just admire the way they've gone about their business. Of course, they brought in Gary O'Neill to keep them in the Premier League. And he did. He did a wonderful job, actually. I thought Gary O'Neill did really, really well. And I think, like me, along with the rest of the football world, effectively, we're quite shocked when they decided to part ways with Gary O'Neill at the end of the season. He kept them up comfortably. And they brought in Iraola, and a bit of an unknown, but again, this is where, like I was just saying about what I would say to Sullivan, these other clubs seem to know where these managers are. They're scouting Europe. They know the best up and coming coaches, and they go and acquire them. When Bournemouth aren't the only club that go and do it, Brighton do it. There are clubs out there that go and appoint these managers and realise that they are the right fit for their football club. It's something West Ham just don't do. We're bargain bucket West Ham. As long as they're available, as long as they've got Premier League experience, we've got to know them. So, must have seen them on Sky Sports at some point. Then they're, for us, it's just a terrible recruitment strategy. And when it comes to coaches and managers, etc. And I think when you look at Bournemouth, it just puts West Ham to shame. It really does, and I admire them. And it's not just that as well. That when they brought him in, they also adopted a new philosophy. You could see there was a plan immediately with the type of players they were bringing in: fast, young, hungry players. Something I think you might be reminded. I think West Ham were promised that young and hungry, up and coming players. I thought we were told that that's what we were going to be getting. Bournemouth have gone and done it. They've gone and done it, and they've matched it with their head coach, and just everything about the football club seems to be running in a real slick manner. And I'm, as I say, I as much as I like it because I like Bournemouth, I'm envious. I'm jealous. I'm looking at it thinking, why can't we do that? Why can't we operate in a manner where it's clear what we're trying to do, rather than this knee-jerk, reactive? We don't really know what we want. Oh, we want a left back. What sort of type? Doesn't matter. As long as there's a left back. Oh, we need a player here. Not sure. Oh, we need a striker. Oh, we'll get that 20-year-old. Oh, we can't afford him. We'll go for that 31-year-old. Then you look at Bournemouth and it's just the opposite. It's slick. They know what they're doing, and they're scouting properly, getting their business done early. They know what they want, and I'm just impressed. I'm really impressed. And there's a few clubs that put us to shame, and they're the latest. Brentford have certainly done that. Brighton have been doing it for a long time. And now the Bournemouth, so all the bees are certainly embarrassing West Ham and other clubs, not just West Ham. I mean, I'm sure there'll be Tottenham fans that might feel the same. Why are we recruiting in that manner? Why are we there'll be lots of clubs that will feel the same, I'm sure. But West Ham especially, I think we will certainly be feeling that. We've just spent 100 million quid. Look at the shower we're getting at the moment. You kind of sit there and think, God, can you imagine if we had that kind of operation with these finances? This club could really be doing something quite special, but we're just miles off of it. I really like Iraola. I think he's adopted a style now that it's starting to become apparent the way they want to play their football. It's great to watch. They are attacking. That their philosophy is to play not only exciting football, it's to try and outscore their opponents, which I like. I've always really liked that. I love that. That's what I used to love about Man United back in the 90s under Ferguson. I remember that being kind of their mindset of like, it's not, although don't get me wrong, they were very good defensively as well, but their basic philosophy was, we're just going to outscore you. We've got enough power, and we're just going to keep battering the goal until we win the game. And I feel like that a little bit with Bournemouth when I watch them play. It's like that's their kind of method. They've got so much attacking threat, and it's just a joy to watch. Every time Bournemouth play, I mean, I've watched them, I think, 3 or 4 times this season now. I've watched them throughout, and obviously I've watched a lot of their highlights as well. But I've just enjoyed it. Like, I've genuinely watched them and gone, this is a really enjoyable team to watch. And it must be an absolute pleasure being a Bournemouth fan at the moment. And if Bournemouth fans watching this, I'm sure will, recognise the fact that I'm very jealous of you, because I would love to go to London Stadium and be watching West Ham play like that, and some lovely football, and just see an identity. See something and go, I can see what we are trying to do here, and I really like it. And of course, we're just not there yet. I'm going to come to West Ham in a minute, by the way. This is not just to talk about Bournemouth. And I want to talk about, before I go on to West Ham, talk about a couple of their players. Ivarnason, and the Ivarnason, I think that's how you pronounce his name, the Brazilian striker they brought in, of course, to replace Solanke. They're not missing him. Let's be honest. Again, what a way to go about your business. They've lost a player of that quality. Scoring a handful, a lot of goals for them. For last season and the season before as well. He's really came into form at Bournemouth. Obviously, he's got his move to Tottenham. I understand it. No problem with that. But I feel the way that Bournemouth have responded to that is they've just recruited very well. I really like this Brazilian striker, Ivarnason. He looks good. He looks a good player. Semenyo, great player, a massive threat for them. I feel that Kirkes as well, another player. Again, West Ham. Well, we had first dibs on him pretty much. We had, the player that we needed at the time. Not saying we need him right this second, but we needed him at the time, certainly. A young, exciting right back. And I thought, wow, that's who West Ham need. And we didn't get it done. We didn't get it sorted. It's a real shame, because it was obvious when we played him, because he played for Alkmaar, and of course he'd been to London Stadium. I think it was kind of like an obvious for West Ham at that time. I remember doing videos on it, saying that this guy's, if I'm West Ham now, he's playing at Alkmaar, you can basically say, look, you've been to London Stadium, you know what we're about, and get in touch with their agents and get talking. And because that's exactly the player we needed. No, we slept on it, sat on our hands, didn't really do anything. And then Bournemouth came in, and he's been wonderful for them. Been a great, great player. And of course, I've got to say, who's really burst into the scene this season is Justin Kluivert, obviously Patrick's son. I think he's just, obviously a quality player. He's got it in his genes anyway, but it feels like he's really stepped up this season now, starting to look a really good player. They've got a really decent setup at the moment, Bournemouth. They're not littered with superstars or anything like that, but they've got some really decent players, and they've got a really decent system. And do you know what I like about it as well? We talk about it enough on this channel. Play players in their position. Play players where they're designed to be played. I want to buy a couple of wing backs, right left back, then go and find a couple of wing backs that fit that mould, and then get them in and say, you're going to play as a wing back. That position. It always feels like at West Ham, we are trying to buy players and then try and push them into positions that don't really suit them and go, well, that's your new position. I know that you don't play there. But look at Kudus. Look at what we've done to Kudus. Prime example of it. I mean, when he came to West Ham, he looked like a superstar. Smashing goals in left, right, and centre, absolutely hungry. And it just feels like we're chipping away at that guy, chipping away at his confidence, and the way that we just keep putting him in different positions that don't really suit him. You can play the left wing for a couple of games. Oh, actually, no, you go to the right wing, but I want to play in the middle. No, you can play. We don't know where to play these players. And it feels like over time, they just lose their momentum. They lose their fire. That spark seems to die. I mean, you can go on and on with players. Look at Fornals was another player that we just did it to. Just kept playing him continually out of position. In the end, he's just sort of stuck on that left wing and just looked like a ghost in the end, And no doubt, thriving away from the club. And it's just, you see it time and time again where we managed to do it. We've done it with players that have come into the club, on a high transfer fee, hoping they're going to go and do really well. Strikers, of course, are the main culprit of that. Scamacca and all these. I'm not here to keep slagging West Ham off, but my point is, with Bournemouth, they haven't done any of that. They've gone out and bought the players for that position, for the right, and just play them there. And you know what? Weirdly, it works. It works really well playing players in their preferred positions. It really does. And I've got nothing but good things to say about Bournemouth. I really want to see them continue to do well. Of course, not obviously on Monday night. I'd like them to slip up then, but overall, I think it's a pleasure to see them doing well, and it gives. It's what football's about for me. This is what it's about. Those teams that come on. If you remember when Bournemouth first got promoted, I remember it. Well, it must have been what now? I'm talking 8-9 years ago, was it? It must be around that kind of time when they first got to Premier League, and everyone, including myself, writing them off. No chance. They'll be down. They'll be bottom of the league. They're going to probably might even break the record of the lowest points. They've got no chance of surviving the Premier League. They are now a well-established Premier League club. They've done really, really well. And for a town that size and a stadium that size and to do as well as they're doing, it's just impressive. And as I say, it puts to shame the likes of David Sullivan and co, doesn't it? To look on and think, look at these clubs that have got a fraction of what we've got in terms of finances, and they are outdoing us in every department. It really is. Down from stadium. Even all right, you might be able to say West Ham got a better stadium, but there's a lovely stadium, and they've got plans now to rebuild their stadium as a proper football stadium. They've got when they go out and source their like catering, things like that for the stadium, they go to local suppliers to help local businesses, and their recruitment spot on. They're going by young, hungry players that want to do well for the club, and you can see this like plan. It all sort of like coming to fruition, and you can see there's like a trajectory to it. That's easy to say. But with West Ham, it never feels that way, does it? It feels like it's sort of mismatch. We just throw it together. We don't know what we're doing. Oh, quick. We've got to get someone. And we're going to see it like we talked about in the video yesterday, like January. That's why I go into this window a little bit apprehensive with West Ham, because do you trust West Ham to go in with a proper plan and have a real system and go, we know exactly the type of player we want? No. They're going to go into we need a striker. Oh, bloody hell, who's available? Don't know. Does he fit the system? Don't know. As long as we've got a striker. That's how I feel West Ham's recruitment tends to be. And yeah, when I look at Bournemouth, I feel the opposite of that now. And it's, so to say, I'm jealous of it, but fair play to them. Let's talk about West Ham and more. Let's talk about West Ham. The joys of being a West Ham fan. Obviously, Mikel Antonio is out and will be for the rest of the season. We don't know any updates on that situation at the moment in terms of his severity of his injuries. Obviously, very, very serious. He's needed surgery on his broken leg. I believe he's got fractured ribs as well. And he's in quite a bad way, I think. So he won't play this season, of course. I really do hope we have him come back to fitness. I really do. I don't know the situation with his contract. I know that obviously I think it's out up at the end of the season. I think West Ham are looking about to renew it. I think they're going to try and do something. I don't know. That's only from what I've heard a little bit. So we'll try and do a bit of an update on that. And then we've got the situation with Nicholas Füllkrug, which is a really, really weird one. Really weird. Julen Lopetegui, it's quite evident, is something's not right with this man, in my opinion. I know that sounds a bit nasty to say, because I don't mean to be nasty, but something doesn't feel right with Lopetegui. Not only am I finding his tactics a bit bizarre, I'm finding, I'm not enjoying him as a football manager at West Ham at all, really. I'm finding his communication. I don't know if you've seen the press conference for this game. For a laugh, right? Just for the giggles of it all, just go and watch the press conference and try and watch it without the subtitles and try to work out what's being said. I can't work it out. It was an absolute nightmare watching that press conference. It's diabolically bad. I can't understand what he's saying. I just don't know what he's saying. And again, nothing really ever comes. Really, by the way, tiny press conferences there as well, but barely anything's ever said. A few questions, boom, 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 done. Nothing's ever really said. We'll talk about a couple of points he brought up, but ultimately nothing. You ask a question and you get a load of fluff back. and you kind of go, right, what was that? I don't know what we're supposed to do with that answer. And so not only am I unhappy with the communication, I'm unhappy with the tactics and everything else. And quite clearly, there is a real issue with what we're doing at training. Like what are we planning in terms of our set pieces? Because I'm watching West Ham play now, and I don't see anything that we're doing on the training ground. I've got to be honest. I'm really struggling to see what we're doing. And Jared Bowen made a really good point. Well, he didn't make a good point. He made a point, and he was trying to make it sound like a compliment to Lopetegui, effectively, or trying to say, look how clever we were. But I actually think Bowen, it backfired in my eyes. I think actually it made West Ham look ridiculous. So this was against Wolves. And after the game, Bowen said, well, at half time, we recognised, we, us, the manager, etc., recognised that there was a weakness with their with set pieces at half time. Going into that game, Wolves were the number 1 team in the league for conceding at set pieces. I understand it. Why would it take you at half time playing them to then realise that? I mean, that kind of just makes you go, so what have you been doing in the week then? Everything about Lopetegui for me, and this is, and I know there will be people that will comment on this and say you're being out of order, you're being harsh or whatever. I'm sorry, I'm just speaking my mind. I just think he's utterly inept. I honestly find him painful as a head coach at the club. I cannot believe we appointed the guy, one of the worst I've ever seen at West Ham, and I really do mean that. I'm really annoyed. And just to add to that, to get back to my original point, is his relationships with players. We understand he's had another falling out with players. There's talk of that he's had another falling out with Nicholas Fulkrug now, hence why he didn't get a kick against Wolves. Obviously, he came on against Leicester and scored, didn't get anything against Wolves. Apparently, there's a fallout over that. It's just a mess. The whole thing, it just feels like West Ham are just waiting for us to lose and they're going to get rid of him. The whole thing's ridiculous. I just want him gone. I really do. I feel the sooner this mess with him is over, the better. I want him and his cronies out of the football club and bring in a head coach to see what they're doing, because this guy just seems totally useless to me. I mean, look, I'd love him to prove me wrong. I would love to be in a video on Monday night or Tuesday, whatever, to say West Ham played amazingly well. We played them off the pitch. I'm absolutely thrilled. If that is the case, then I will, hold my hands up and say, all right. But I just don't see it at the moment. I really don't. I've got no confidence in the guy. I really don't. Lucas Paqueta, I mean, I'm a bit of a loss with him now. I'm finding, I mean, I don't know if you saw his cameo against the Wolves, but it was pretty diabolical, actually. And it actually made me feel like I wouldn't care if I never saw him in a West Ham shirt again after seeing that. I'm just getting to the point with Paqueta, like I've just had enough of it. The guy is just a walking drama. It's been a pain up the arse for so long. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's some great memories for us. Obviously, not to forget the past for the final and put Bowen in and all that. And I'll always be forever grateful. But I know that he's got this betting stuff going on. I do appreciate that. But I'd rather him just be dropped then and just don't play the guy. Just say to him, just stay away from the club then, because the guy's just not in the game. His attitude against Wolves was disgusting, I thought. And he did this attempted volley from like 50 yards, ridiculous, and just went out the way above the bar. And it's just his attitude just stinks, to be honest with you. I've just kind of had enough of it. I don't really want to see him near the team, because if this is the way he's going to be and just not really interested, then I just don't bother paying this guy all this money. You know what I mean? Every week he just doesn't seem to give a shit. So I've kind of a bit done with him at the moment. There's a dilemma of Mohamed Kudus, of course, brought him back in. Again, Lopetegui, for whatever reason, like Moyes, just seems reluctant to play him through the middle, play him up front in that front three. He just doesn't want to play Kudus there. I don't know what we're not seeing. Maybe there is something there that we're not seeing in training, but it's always something that he's stressed. He's been stressing it before he joined West Ham. I remember seeing an interview of him while he was at Ajax, and there was talk about him coming over then, and he was talking about his positioning and how he likes to play through the middle. We've never seen it. I just want to see it. I just want to see it now. I mean, as much as I quite like seeing Bowen up front, I thought he did all right actually against Wolves, to be fair to him. I still want to see this. I prefer Bowen out on the right. That's his best position. So I really want to just see it. Do you know what I mean? Can we not have a halfer? Can I give it 45 minutes and see how it operates? I just want to see, Somerville, Bowen and Kudus in the middle. That's my feeling on it. The other dilemma before I go into the team selection is Todibo much like the Fulkrug thing, feels like another one to add to the list of Lopetegui's fallings out. So there just seems to be a never-ending list. Obviously, we've got Areola in there. We've got Todibo, of course. We've got Kudus, he had a falling out with. And Fulkrug now, the never-ending list of players that he just seems to continually fall out with, this guy. And Todibo's one of them as well. And I know they kind of did put on a bit of a public display of affection, didn't they, in terms of in the Wolves game, he sort of gave him a hug and stuff. So I guess that was more to sort of show, look, there's no issue there, trying to play it all down. I guess that's what they're trying to do. And maybe it's all legitimate and real, and I'm going to try and accept that that's the case. But, if you're swinging punches at someone, as it's reported, then it's not good, is it? I mean, bloody hell, it is just not good. The whole situation is not good. But it's something that needs to be handled, because at the end of the day, he's a top player for us. Todibo, he's a good defender. We know we've seen the quality he possesses. So we're spending a lot of money on him. So we can't. He's not someone we cannot have available. Right, I'm going to do my team. I'd like to know what you think of it and what you would do, what your thoughts are, and we'll have a chat about it on the chat on the video and see where we are. I mean, this is what I'm going to go with, and I'll give you my score prediction. So in goal, I'm going to put Lucas Fabianski. Honestly, we're shipping goals in at the moment. It's not been brilliant. However, I don't know. I'm not impressed with Areola at all. I just don't have much confidence in him. I just feel more confident with Fabianski. It's something we do need to address, but as I've said, I don't think it's a January urgency. I think it's the end of the season. But I do want to see West Ham go and get a new goalkeeper. I'm just not. Fabianski's coming towards the end of his career and can't keep being relied upon, in my opinion. And I'm just not sold on Areola. I'm sorry. I know he's done some great saves over his time, and he is a great shot stopper. But for me, he's just not reliable enough. He's not a Premier League for me. That kind of, I don't have that confidence with him. So for me, I feel like West Ham do need to get that addressed. But for this game, Fabianski in goal. My back line is kind of the typical we've been seeing. I want Aaron Wan-Bissaka at right back, Todibo and Kilman as the two centre-back pairing, and Emerson. So I'd like to see Todibo play in this game. I think as well, it'd be nice to put to bed this kind of talk of this big fallout. So I feel like if Mavropanos starts, it doesn't send the right message, in my opinion. Although I will say I thought Mavropanos actually played all right against Wolves. I do think he's not a bad player, Mavropanos. He's got a mistake in him, which always worries me. But overall, I think he's actually a pretty decent player for West Ham. In midfield, I'm dropping Lucas Paqueta. I'm bringing in Edson Alvarez to play as the defensive midfielder. I feel like we're going to need some backbone to that defence, especially against Bournemouth. They've got some real attacking threat, and I think West Ham just got to be very aware of that, and I feel like Alvarez is going to be needed for this game. I'm going to have Thomas Souček in the middle as well, alongside him, obviously with that role to sort of help out defensively, but also advance and come ghosting in the box like he tends to. I think he's one of our biggest goal threats in the team. Carlos Soler playing slightly ahead of them, playing as the playmaker. Again, I'd like him to be sort of involved, sort of box to box, really, and getting involved. I think they're all going to have to be, apart from Alvarez, I'd like to be sit. But I think those two midfielders of Souček and Soler are going to have to be quite very busy. I'm actually been impressed with Soler. I think he's started to show the player he is. This is a big game for him, I feel, because he hasn't had the best against Wolves. He wasn't his greatest, so I kind of feel like he needs a good performance. So I'm keeping him in. Right, and my front line is what I suggested earlier. I'd like to see Bowen out on the right, Somerville out on the left, and Mohamed Kudus playing as that more central role up front. That's sort of like false nine kind of position. That's my feelings on it. In terms of the team, I feel like that's our best opportunity to go and cause them some problems. I'm not confident, I'm going to be honest with you. The way that Bournemouth have been playing this season and the way that we've been playing, I just feel like we're going to really struggle. They create so many chances, Bournemouth. I think they're right up there. I think they might... They're not the top. I think they might be behind Liverpool and City. I think something like that. They are right up there though in terms of chances created this season. They're a really big threat. So West Ham are going to be defensively going to have to be very astute in this game. I'm not confident. I'm going to be honest. As much as I really want to lean on the side of optimism, but I just can't under Lopetegui. I'm really sorry. I know it feels like I'm just hammering this guy every 5 minutes and slating him, but I can't help it. I'm just speaking my mind. I'm not confident with him in charge, and for that reason, I think we're going to lose this game, and I think it's going to be 3-1 to Bournemouth. But I'd like to know your thoughts. I'm sorry I can't offer a more positive preview, but that's how I feel at the moment. For me, it's kind of the waiting game now. It's almost like they're waiting for a defeat, and then they're going to bring in Graham Potter. And I've got to be honest, the sooner that happens, the better. Really, I don't mean that I want to stand to lose a game, but I want to see Lopetegui at this club because I'm just really unimpressed. But look, if he proves me wrong, then great. Let's wait and see. Come on, your ones.